Hi, my name's Rob Scott from UC Today News, and welcome to our monthly Microsoft Teams news update. Today's update is sponsored by New Wave Communications, and as always, I'm joined by Tom Arbuthnot, UC Solutions Architect, Microsoft Certified Master, and MVP. Welcome, Tom.
Yeah, hey Rob, how's it going?
Very good, very good. Good to see you. How's things?
Yeah, good. It's been a busy start for the year to me. It's all go here, but yeah, all good.
Well, Little Bird tells me you've got a new job. Tell us about that. What's going on?
Yeah. So quite a big change for me. 11 years at Modality, coming up through that company for being a big part of that conversation. I decided it's time for a change. So I've actually got two new jobs, two hats I'm wearing. First one is working for Pure IP in a solutions director role, which is really exciting. I've worked with Pure IP for many years as a partner and kind of know those guys really well. So for those that don't know, they're in the kind of carrier, operator connect, direct routing space. They also do other platforms as well. Obviously the Teams bit is particularly interesting for me. So on that front, I'm helping them with some new service innovations, different bits and pieces.
That's awesome.
And as well as that, then I'm doing my own organization and my own company, Empowering Cloud. And that's really exciting as well. So breaking out on my own, I'm actually working with James Rodd, who was one of the previous founders of Modality as well. And that's kind of looking at a new take on training and advice and enablement around Microsoft Teams. So online platform, video content-based training, but very real world, very field-based, very community-based. So early days for that. I've got a couple of customers on board helping me with kind of validating the concept and content, but I'm sure you'll hear more as I ramp that up.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, congratulations, and that's really exciting. What a great start to 2022. And I'm sure you're going to stay within the world of Microsoft Teams, aren't you? And,
100%. Yeah. More in it than ever, to be honest. Now with both the carrier side with Pure IP and with the Empowering Cloud. Yeah, I mean a big part of this move was for me to really focus on this space, and I did already, but I had a day job with some customers and consulting other bits and pieces as well. So the aspiration is to spend even more time knowing what's going on in the space and helping customers.
Yeah, excellent. Great. Well, I'm sure we're going to see lots more from Microsoft and Microsoft Teams this year. To kick things off today, let's talk through the news. Whoa, we've got another monthly active user count been announced.
Yeah,
just in the last few days.
Another big number out of the quarterly results. So now the official line has surpassed 270 million monthly active users. So this quarter just gone. So the last number we got was July 2021, which is 250 million daily active users. So we've jumped a good jump again of monthly active users. They've switched from daily to monthly. So we've had a good jump there of a few more million monthly active users.
Just 20 million. It's marketing. They just wanted to be able to say we've got more than 250 million, users now. So that's amazing, isn't it? It's got 20 million, and things are. We're slowing down from the pandemic, I imagine, in terms of numbers and traffic and all that kind of thing. So
I think so. The one star on that number to consider is that Microsoft are mixing Teams Personal and Teams for Work. So that they have had the Windows 11 push where they've put Teams Personal in by default. So they don't break these numbers down, but I wonder how much of that new set of users is Teams Personal versus Teams for Work. Obviously still a fantastic number, crazy numbers, crazy growth, it's all good. But when you're looking at this, you have to consider that it's both the consumer side and the work side as well.
That's a good point. We talked about that, last year, didn't we? But certainly bundling Microsoft Teams now in Windows 11. If you've pressed that button, you've probably seen that happen. But I'm the guy that's not pressed the upgrade button yet, Tom. I'm afraid.
I've got one laptop with, one laptop without. So I'm riding both sides of the fence. But I think we'll continue to see this year Microsoft pushing Teams Personal a lot more. They definitely want to be in the consumer space as well as the business space, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show as well.
Great stuff. Well, next up, we said we'd talk about Microsoft Teams Essentials because we're hearing more and more about this. So tell us more. What's happened?
Yeah, so Microsoft Teams Essentials is super interesting for a few reasons. So it's a new SKU of Microsoft Teams, a new way to buy it, and it's just Teams. So everything in Microsoft world for the last few years has been moving into suites or bundles of products. So, E3, E5 is what you hear all the time. You pay your money, you get a whole bunch of services all together. And Essentials breaks away from that and gives you a just Teams, as the name suggests. So it's $4 a user a month, which is relatively aggressive compared to the kind of competitor platforms, which is obviously a big part of the conversation. But I think more than that, in the SMB SMC space, sometimes going to full Office 365 can be more than they want to do. So, for example, you've got a company that's grown up on, let's say, Google, or they've got somebody else's hosted email. They're quite happy, but they just want a conferencing platform. Microsoft's previous story was come to Office 365, and it'd be like, well, you get your email, and you get this, and you get that, and it's like, oh, I don't want to change how my entire business works. I just want conferencing, so I'll go buy another, a Zoom, a WebEx, or whatever, and just plug the gap I want to plug. So I think this is Microsoft saying, look, for a low price, we can plug that gap. And obviously, Microsoft will hope that will probably gravitate into using more of Office 365. But it's an interesting level of kind of commitment to that market to cut a SKU specifically to serve that market. It shows how much they want the SMB, SMC, or just non-Office 365 user space.
Yeah, so that is interesting, and it's really cheap. Is it $4? But so, what do you get for $4?
So you get, let me
what don't you get?
The details. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much normal Teams. So you can do group meetings of up to 30 hours. So why would you want to do more than currently 30 hours with up to 300 participants? It's essentially all of Teams. It's not the telephony, but you can add on telephony to this as well. So this is a jump off point for adding voice in the SMB market as well. But other than that, it's not really limited in any other way. You just haven't got the rest of Office 365. The funny conversation is it's only $5 for the base Office 365 license. So for $1 extra, you get an insurmountable amount of stuff. You get all your SharePoint and your OneDrive and your email and everything else. And a lot of the mainstream media was making the point of like, well, why would you do this? But that's not the use case. The use case is I'm super happy with what I've got. I just want to plug this gap, and I don't want to be overwhelmed by all the other options.
Interesting, yeah. As you say, when is that out? Is that out now, or is it?
Yep. Out now. It's direct or via CSP, so you can get it via partner or you can get it direct. There's slight differences to that, but it's out and about now.
Super. Right. Next up, we said we talk about a new Microsoft Teams Rooms window release. What's happening around the room space?
Yeah, so this is quite an interesting release. So it's just an update for Microsoft Teams Room, but there's some nice additional features here. So they're starting to preview their front row layout, which is if you saw any of the Ignite content, their new front of room experience. So different layouts, better, more kind of the more inclusive layout type idea. So everybody gets a frame on the screen, that kind of thing. That's in preview. You can turn it on and off. You can switch cameras for the first time. So not dynamic switching, like it won't switch them for you, but many people have room setups where they've got one camera for one scenario, one camera for the other. So now you can go to the console and change to the right camera for your meeting, or even change mid-meeting as well. On the license side, they've added Azure AD Premium 1 license to the Room license. Bit techie, but it gives you a whole bunch of device control stuff that you didn't have before. So that's a nice addition at no cost. And they've put Cortana on by default now. So out of the box experience, Cortana's on. So if you are one of those organizations that is not for voice control, then you want to consider that. It only works in certain markets at the moment. They're expanding that. But one to watch for admins if you're not down with voice control, or you haven't had the conversation, then you need to have the conversation, because voice control is not for everybody in terms of what's being discussed in those meetings. Obviously, it's Microsoft, it's super safe, it's super secure, but that doesn't stop people being nervous about it.
Yeah, I'm sure though, but very handy, especially in today's world of touchless being the kind of new thing, and contactless, COVID safe environments and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It definitely makes a lot of sense. Just convenience wise as well. Once you know what the commands are, then being able to not have to move across the room to do things can be super useful.
Yeah, and it's great timing, isn't it? Because everyone's talking about meeting equity at the moment, and being able to kind of have these new features for Microsoft in the rooms, in meeting rooms. Fantastic. Good to see.
Yeah, there's a lot more coming in that space as well. You're right. That is a really, really big theme, and it's something that Microsoft are really focused on. Like the fundamentals of meetings are arguably similar on different platforms. Where Microsoft think they can stand out is that inclusiveness, that end user experience, that hybrid, support the hybrid working scenario. So you will see more in the room technology for sure.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, next up, we said we'd talk about Microsoft Teams PowerShell.
Yeah, I know you love a bit of PowerShell.
I love a bit of PowerShell. Yeah, you're gonna have to explain this one to me. Yeah, go on, step me through
yeah, this is so PowerShell is the command line to control Teams config. So for techies, this is an important one for anybody using direct routing or any partners that have direct routing scripts. They're changing some of the commandlets that assign phone numbers. So lots and lots of organizations I know and lots of partners have scripts that work with direct routing to set the users up, assign the users numbers. You've got a bit of time. The old commandlets, which is set CS online voice user, set CS online application instance, and set CS online voice application instance. I know the last one's your favorite. They're going away, and the new ones are going to be set CS phone number assignment and set CS phone. And remove CS phone number assignment. So get on your scripts now. Start moving and testing over, because they will stop working when those other commands go away. So, and this is one of the things, again, with the cloud, things change. You need to stay on top of this stuff for sure.
Yeah, you don't want to get caught out. But yeah, thanks for stepping me through that. I'm with you. With every single word you said. Next up, we said we'd talk about Teams, work to Teams, consumer chat.
Yeah. So this is exactly what it says, although Microsoft have a million different terms for this. So it's a really fun conversation I'm having at the moment, where you've got Teams Work and you've got Teams Personal, but Microsoft don't really have official names for those things. It's all just Microsoft Teams in the marketing, but except when they come and try and explain a feature like this, and then they have to have a way to differentiate. So they kind of bounce between Teams Personal, Teams Consumer, Teams for Life, but there is a version of Teams you can sign up with as a consumer Microsoft account, Outlook account for most people, and there's the version of Teams that is with Office 365, the work version. Up until now, those two were siloed from a chat perspective. So if I was at work and I wanted to talk to one of my family members and they were using Teams Consumer, I couldn't actually directly talk to them. And now that functionality is rolled out. It's pretty much across all tenants now. Really useful for some scenarios, like some SMBs use consumer accounts as well. So that comes into play, like individual contractors, things like that. But it is, again, on by default. So from a compliance and understanding point of view, admins need to make sure they're happy with how it works. They're happy that people in the organization will be talking to consumers, personal individuals, and vice versa. Personal individuals, if they know the email address of the person in the organization, can send a message in. It sends an invite, and they can decline the invite. And if they persistently invite, they're up to 10 times, eventually it just blocks them. So it's fairly well architected from a risk point of view.
Right.
But if you've got execs and stuff with publicly known email addresses, you probably maybe want to block at least the consumers being able to hit them inbound, and that's the nice thing, you can block it in each direction. So the execs could still reach out to their friends and family if they want, but you can block inbound invitations as an example.
Okay, it's an interesting tactic to obviously encourage that consumer application, isn't it? Because if I can bridge my family and friends, which I don't think I really want to do during the day at work, but if I wanted to do that, then that I can do that now, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people have the use case for it for sure. It goes a little bit further than that as well. If you invite somebody who hasn't got Teams, it will ping them an email saying, "Hey, come and sign up for a free account and get in the conversation." So it's a little bit of a viral adoption thing as well, where you can just put any email address in or any phone number in, because consumers can register by phone number as well as email, and it'll ping them and say, "Hey, someone wants to reach you on Teams."
Good. Was that available in Skype? Between Skype and Skype for Business.
Yeah, very good. It's got Skype Consumer and Skype for Business could talk to each other. In fact, Teams could talk to Skype Consumer up until now as well, and still can. Skype Consumer is still doing crazy numbers, so people are using it. I don't know who's using it, but it's still doing big numbers. But in my kind of circles, it wasn't very common, but that's still available in Teams as well.
Interesting stuff. Yeah, good. I like that one. In terms of next update, we said we'd talk about Microsoft 365 Admin Center. What's happening on that front?
Yeah, this is interesting. So a little bit off just the beaten Teams path, but I thought this was a really smart move from Microsoft. So Microsoft flood administrators with all these messages about Office 365 changing. It's an evergreen platform. There's always stuff going on. A lot of it won't be relevant for you. There'll be like, there's this new Excel plugin feature that somebody uses, maybe perhaps. So what they're doing, which is cool, is in the message center, the place where the messages come to administrators, they're going to count how many users are impacted by the notice. So based on service metrics, they'll be able to say, this impacts 5 of your users or 50 of your users or 5,000 of your users or all of your users. So it's a great way for admins to be able to understand, oh, that impacts everybody. I should read that as a priority. Or this impacts nobody. We don't use that feature. Don't need to worry about it.
Nice. I like that one. Okay, so next up, we said we'd talk about Tom Morgan's new book. You seem to know quite a bit about this. Tom, do you want to guide us through it?
Yeah, this is interesting. So Tom Morgan, I work with very closely. He was an MVP at Modality on the development side, does lots of Teams development. And he's put a book together, and it's really quite interesting. I've been through it a bit. It's a combination of a book for Teams as a development platform for normal people, quote unquote, and developers. So it kind of slides through the whole Power Platform, citizen developer stuff you can do in Teams, and goes then towards the more developer proper codey end of the scale. I'm having lots of conversations with customers, particularly around Power Platform, where they're starting to talk about, we've deployed Teams, like we're using it, but now we want to do the business app integration, or we want to do some custom bespoke workflows, that kind of thing. So I think it's very, very timely. I can definitely recommend it, and it's on LeanPub. That we'll put a link in the comments, I'm sure. But very cost-effective way to get a good handle on what's going on with kind of apps and bots and the Teams platform.
Yeah, Tom's very well versed in that area, isn't he? He's been a developer, and
he really lives it.
In this kind of world of low code, no code, apps, bots, plugins, and everything else, connectors. What a great time to kind of launch a book like that. So we'll definitely put a link in the description so you can jump on that. So that's today's news update. Next up, we said we'd talk, plug a few events coming up, just to mention, what's available for you to visit, whether it's be virtual or in person. But Tom, what's top of the list?
Yeah, so top of the list, a bit of a self-plug, so Teams Fireside Chat. So myself and Mark Vale, who runs the Commsverse show, have put together a monthly online, I hesitate to call it a user group because we're trying to do a different approach, but a group. We're having a 20-minute fast-paced session from an expert. So no fluff, no kind of big marketing pitches. We're going to pre-vet kind of friends in the space who know their stuff. They'll do a 20-minute session, and then we're just going to roll into open floor / Q&A. So we're hoping, we've already got a lot of registrations, but we're hoping lots of people will turn up and just have open conversations. So it might be about the session, might be asking the speaker, but equally it might just be their thoughts, their challenges, and we'll just let that conversation run on. So we're going to do that every month on the first Thursday at 4 o'clock GMT or UK time, and then that will catch the US in the morning as well. So there's a link in the description. But if you're in this space and you want to get more engaged with the community, I think that should be a good one.
Great. We'll put a link in the description. But if you want to have that chance to talk to the experts, talk to Tom live, then jump on there and register for the event. Sounds like a fantastic opportunity. Next up, we said we'd talk about the Cloudcom Summit. That this event has come back again. It's here in London.
In person, in real life, hopefully.
In real life, yeah. I mean, we've both been going for a few years now. It's a great event. What do you think, Tom? Is that as the kind of conversation kind of tone changed? Do we think we're going to hear some different insights this year at the Cloudcom Summit?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I mean, this is the first back to in-person one, and they were one of the last events to go before all the lockdown. So there's been a decent gap going to physical, and I think it'll, the conversation as we kind of shut down pre-pandemic was about Teams and the SaaS platforms and where partners play in this world and that kind of thing. So I think that conversation it's just been accelerated. I also think that they've been doing lots of work. Cavell and their associates have been lots of work around M&A and acquisitions and all that kind of thing. So I think there'll be a lot of conversation about how the whole space has changed. But it's a great one for partners, service providers to really get an inside track on what's going on in the space.
Yeah, as you say, Inside Track, great event. Do log on to the website. We'll put a link in the description. It is a ticketed event, so certainly jump on there and get a ticket while you can. Next up, we said we'd talk about Teams Nation 2022. Tell us more about this event, Tom, because it's not an event I've been to, but what's it all about?
Yeah, this is a community-driven event by a bunch of really dedicated MVPs going for a few years now, and they're really, really good at getting like some top-level speakers from kind of Microsoft and in the community as well. So it's one of my kind of favorite online events. They've got people like Jeff Taper, Rish Tandon, Caruana, Ilya, so like top people in Teams at the event talking, and Microsoft have been very good, particularly in the Teams team, about being very open in these community events. So they don't come with the super rehearsed marketing pitch. They tend to be fairly open, which is nice. So yeah, it's online, a free event. You can register and kind of pick from the sessions, and then they go up on stream as well afterwards. But yeah, highly recommended to, even if you just pick out a couple of sessions, don't feel like you have to watch the whole thing back to back. There's some really, really good real world speakers there.
Fantastic. Yeah, some great events coming up. I mean, and good to see that they're not just online, they're in person as well. So
yes, I'm looking forward to speaking at Cloudcom Summit. It'll be my first in person of this year. I did do the Contact Center Expo last year, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to in person time.
Yeah, super. And last but not least, I thought I would plug UC Summit 2022, which, as recording this, it's actually just closing off its first week, and then it's going on demand for 30 days. So rolling across the month of February, you've got an on-demand experience. Just jump on ucsummit.com, and there's a whole host of great pieces of content and vendor virtual booths to find out what's been going on. And the focus of the event has been the big UC updates. It's all about kind of getting the updates from the vendors, and they talk us through what their plans are across 2022. So it's been busy so far. I'd love to see you there. So jump on ucsummit.com.
Yeah, I did a session. I did a panel with Patrick on there, so there's it was good fun actually. It's always good fun with Patrick from Cavell. There's always some good questions.
Absolutely. And last but not least, if you didn't see our 2022 predictions piece from last month, do jump on, have a look at the January update. It was our Microsoft Teams predictions month. And Tom, did we have a fantastic time talking to the experts? I mean,
yeah, it was so good. I've had so much good feedback, and the funny thing is, so many analysts, kind of financial analysts and stuff, have watched that show because I got loads of pingbacks on like, do you agree with this one? Do you think about that one? So yeah, it was very well received. We had some great experts on there. I appreciate their time, and I love that format because it gives us something to look back on next year to see who was on the money.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey Tom, thanks very much for today. It's been good to see you.
Yeah, thanks Rob. Yeah, good time, and we'll be back next month with more news, no doubt.
Absolutely. And that's it from us. If you've enjoyed today's session, please subscribe to the UC Today News and give this video a quick share on social, as it's always appreciated. And if you're a Microsoft Teams fan and you want to be part of the conversation, you can connect with Tom or myself on LinkedIn and Twitter, and our social links are also in the description. So I'm Rob Scott from UC Today. Thanks for watching.